November 2nd, and it's the day before Election Day. It's Black Solidarity Day, because Black Solidarity Day, as we know from previous shows, is the first Monday in November. So, I want to thank folks for being here on the People's TV with me. I am one of the co-hosts. My name is Brother Mark. And the People's TV was created and is produced by the People-Pueblo Party, which is an independent political party. It's not beholden to the Democrats. Is not beholden to the Republican Party. It is an independent political party that believes in common sense politics for the people, the planet, and the animals. We're here. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And we are sponsored by the People's Health Project. They're made it possible for us to get the software, the hardware, in order to put on this show for you every Monday night at 8 p.m. My co-host, Bill, he's calling me now, so not really sure why. But maybe it's that he needs the link to join on the show. So I'm going to send that to him. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the show. I want to share some images with you. And, I want to have a little bit of a discussion with you. We're going to bring Bill on, and then we'll be able to talk with him. Tomorrow is the presidential election. A lot of people are nervous. A lot of people are worried. A lot of people are stressed out. And, we should all just remain calm. And, we're going to talk about that tonight. And also, don't forget, folks can participate through the chat and putting in their questions, their comments. When you come in, just let us know you're here. We will acknowledge you. And also, we have a feature now that we can share comments from the chat into the live stream so people can see them directly. So the first thing I want to do is, I want to say that the 712 movement had a great event out in Restoration Plaza in Fulton. And then they marched over to Sisters Place on Nostrand Avenue in Fulton. And it was a very well-attended event. And I actually got to, I got to take some video. And it's very good video. It's good. I'm going to share it with y'all. It was very spirited. It was very committed. I mean, it was cold. Let me tell you, I'm not joking. It was cold. But regardless of the cold, it was also very, very motivating and very inspiring. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do some magic here with our screen. And I'm going to try to share with you what I'm talking about. Okay. So let's try to share this on the screen. And let me see, Chrome, no, application window. Okay, let me try to share this. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so y'all, those of you who are watching the show, please let me know on the chat if the images I'm trying to share with you are working, if the sound quality is good, and that way I can, judge. So what I'm going to do is before I put the sound on for the video, I'm going to take the sound off of my mic, because the last time I had the mic on, it echoed a lot. So I'm just going to mute my mic, and in the chat, please let me know if the sound quality coming across to you is good. Okay.
propaganda that they try to give us watered down. But true black power, as our ancestors have laid out for us, every single day we must implement that power. Now and large more. That way they don't see it.
Okay, so thank you, Alvaro, for sending the text, letting me know that the sound wasn't working right. So I tried to work that out. So let me bring in Brother Bill now. And we were both at the event today for Black Solidarity Day. And let me just get Bill's take on what happened. So, Bill, did you see the little piece of the video that I showed?
Nah, I didn't see it.
Okay. So I got one more that I can show. So just hang on. And
It was pertaining to today.
yeah. I have 2 video clips. I showed one already. And now I'm going to show the second one. They're both short. They're like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but even if I didn't see it, I was there. I know what all you got to do is brief me, and I could go from there.
Okay, well, hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the next one. Which is,
all right, let's do it.
A couple of minutes long. And I have to leave my mic open so people can hear the sound from it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, this is the screen. This. Okay. All right. 32. Here, right here.
To engage back into this war that is constantly waged against us. We know it's capitalism and white supremacy, as Malik already stated, and the brother Anthony talked about as well. We know that these beasts have profited $930 billion from the beginning of this pandemic in March up until now. So what other way do we have but a general strike consistently? Today, Black Solidarity Day is just the beginning. But from this day forward, we must continue to talk and discuss the motion for the general strike. Make it be a continuous Black Solidarity Day, 24/7, 365, until we get what we are owed, period. Yeah. We know what time it is. Yeah. And again, we know that we will see y'all this evening on Zoom to continue to get educated from the other organizations that are participating in Black Solidarity Day with us. Now, if you didn't get a flyer with the information, then come see me after and take a picture of it and share it with your friends and your family and spread the word. This is not a game. We are in a war here. And from this day forward, we must say Black Solidarity Day until freedom. Black power! 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 And whole street! Our streets! Whole street! Our streets! Whole street! Our streets! Whole street! Our streets! Who's got the power? We got the power! Who's got the power? We got the power! What kind of power? Black power! What kind of power? Black power!
All right. So here we go. Again, today's Black Solidarity Day was very powerful. It was very energizing, very inspiring. And I think Iman, kind of got it right. There's a war going on that's been going on for 500 years. And, the ebbs and flows, gets more aggressive, gets less aggressive. And at this time, we're in a period of time where the conflict is getting sharper and sharper and sharper. I mean, Bill, you out there today. I mean, what do you think of the event, and what do you think of the messages that folks put out?
Well, I'm a longtime member D12s presently. I don't even know how far back I go. But I'm a lifetime member of the African diaspora, proud African American. So, when they talk about to answer the question first about the event is necessary. What's lacking in the event is the participation. There was a time when Black Solidarity Day was widely observed by thousands of people with standing room only. There was a time that's how it was observed. We've we've become complacent with the gains that we made in the '60s. I say this all the time, whether it was Positively Black, the Bill McQuarrie report, Kill Noble Like It Is. It all came out of think tank from the '60s that turned into mass movement. Whether it was Black Solidarity Day, which came out in the '60s, whether it was Kwanzaa that came out in the '60s, the free lunch program by the Muslims and excuse me, by the Black Panthers that came out of the '60s and started in Oakland, California, that the government took over. And I say this because the highest form of admiration is imitation, and the government has always been jealous of Black Americans, African Americans that preceded us, and it shows because they tried to dehumanize us by talking about us in terms of not being worthy as being their equal or even superior. But yet and still, they always looked at us as in a monetary sense. So that's why she talk about the economics. You think about it. Everybody all had a dollar value on them when they was captured and brought over here the Middle Passage. On prison systems, there's no difference. Everybody has a dollar value on them. The fake war when they was going to look for the weapons of mass destruction that they still haven't found was all about a dollar value. Even today, you got to look at everything in perspective. Even today, I don't only take pictures of us, proudly representing Black pride and what have you. You got to take a picture of all the vans, all the white and blue NYPD vans that was filled up with people that still getting dollar values off of. Because why? Why do they need like 8, 9, 10 vans and cars and with numerous people from the law collecting overtime, sucking up heat? You got to think about it. You got to put it in perspective. And this is what she's talking about. But I think Black Solidarity Day is necessary because it was created as a moment of collection, collect our thoughts before the inevitable next day was going to come. Tuesday, where you voted and cast a vote. So it gave people time where they got together around the umbrella system and they voted their conscience. Now, we don't believe in the white man telling us what to do and putting our best interests first. And that's one of the reasons why you have Black Solidarity Day. Because as Malcolm talked about Black nationalism, we need Black politicians that that deal with Black problems. And we don't have that. And that's why we have a Black Solidarity Day. And we have to look at all these other grassroots organizations or other organizations that may think that we're too strong. And we got petty differences where we don't really vibe with them and they don't vibe with us and we don't get along. We got to look at those as being minute things and put our differences aside and still continue to use one another as a platform because we all fighting for the same thing. Unless you're a total sellout. And in that case, we don't have no use for you. But I don't want to, monopolize, but I just say that people really need to really think what their worth is. All right? Because white America knows what your worth is. They show it all the time. They showed it today. Like I said, you look at all those vans with all these people in there sucking up the heat and the overtime. We're not animals. We're regular, everyday people, but they still feel like they need to show a force in those type of numbers just in case. And we're the only people that they treat like that. So sometimes you got to think beyond outside of the box. Everything is relevant.
Right.
So,
well, and I just want to stay with this, the theme you're talking about, what a lot of people call is follow the money. you
Yeah.
know, and I think we have to use that same measure for this presidential election that we're going through right now. And what I wanted to share with folks was a short video, and I'm believing that we will be able to get video and audio, and this is something that when I saw it, I said, you know, when it first came out, at that point I knew that Biden was going to win the election. When I saw that, I just knew it. So I'm gonna play it now, and let me just get it queued up. It's already queued up. I just gotta get the link from here, copy it, and play it for the audience. You know, I'm only gonna play a short piece of it, and I'm hoping that what it's gonna do is generate some discussion. That's it, because that's what we want folks to be able to discuss this thing. So I'm gonna play it now. And let's see how it goes.
All right, Sagar, what's on your radar?
Well, hours before the worst debate in American history, a hugely consequential event took place here in Washington. In terms of D.C., this story is a legitimate political earthquake. For most normal folks out there, not going to really register whatsoever. But I want to highlight it and explain it to all of you, so you can understand just how much of a titanic shift this event in American politics is, and how consequential it's going to be for both the future of the Republican and Democratic parties. It all began yesterday with a tweet from the New York Times' Maggie Haberman reporting that Scott Reed, who until yesterday was the top political strategist at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for years, told her he was resigning his position based upon the perception that the organization has drifted left since 2016, and that the final nail in the coffin for him was the Chamber's first endorsement of 24 Democratic House members. That alone was a bombshell, which we covered here whenever it happened. The Chamber of Commerce is the premier business organization lobby in Washington. It has spent $1.4 billion on lobbying the federal government over the last 2 decades. It is by far the largest lobbying group in the country. It's outspent its next largest competitor by 3 times. For years now, it's been associated with the Republican Party, and it is what I consider one of the chief cancers at the heart of American politics. The Chamber of Commerce is the group most responsible for pushing things like so-called free trade with China, mass immigration. Basically, if you think of a regulation out there that is bad for you and it's good for big business, then they have spent millions of dollars trying to make it enshrined into law. For years, Republicans have done their bidding. That is, until Donald Trump came along in 2016. The chamber didn't know what to do with itself. The chamber couldn't get behind a Republican president who enacts tariffs on China or held that position on immigration. Even with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act pushed by Trump and the Republican Congress under him, they just could not stomach it. So the chamber did what many elite Republicans who want to push big business-friendly policies have done, especially since Joe Biden won the Democratic nomination. They have decided to back the Democratic Party. They started small with endorsements for 24 House Democrats running for re-election. But with the firing or resignation, depending on whom you believe, of Scott Reed, we now have a bigger and more explosive story. Reed told the Washington Post he left the organization because the Chamber of Commerce would not let him spend money trying to support Republican candidates in North Carolina or Maine. It's cryptic, but think about that for a second. The largest business lobby in the country, traditionally aligned with Republicans, told their top political strategists they could not spend money on behalf of Republican candidates Tom Tillis or North Carolina or Susan Collins in Maine. Okay, so let's take that one step farther, and you realize the gravity of Reed's statement, which is that the Chamber of Commerce just got caught admitting they want Democrats to take power in the United States Senate. In my mind, this is the full circle realignment occurring right before our eyes. The largest business lobby in the country has just been caught secretly admitting they want Democrats to keep the House, win the Senate, and presumably win the presidency. Why? Because they trust that unified Democratic government will be good for business interests. This is possibly one of the most damning indictments of Joe Biden and his team that has happened yet. The truth is now quite obvious. While the billionaire class and the corporations will be operationally fine under Trump, they are actively rooting for Joe Biden to win the presidency. The signs for this have been all around us for quite some time. But the Chamber of Commerce's secret admission just confirms it. Ironically, just as I was writing this, I saw a bulletin update from Goldman Sachs to their investors. The message said, quote, "A Biden win, especially in a blue wave, would likely mean greater fiscal stimulus, more cyclical upside, less trade policy risk, and a weaker U.S. dollar. Earlier vaccine availability would have directionally similar effects in our view." Now, there's some in there which I think is fair, especially the fiscal part and the thing about the vaccines. But the two most consequential parts of that statement are, quote, cyclical upside and trade policy risk. In effect, Wall Street is saying that they expect Joe Biden's presidency to have a more stable and climbing market.
Okay. So you see, when I first saw this thing, I said, man, this is done. The business community has done extremely well under Trump. Trump's tax cuts have, benefited the rich. Yet the rich still feel that Trump is a chaos factor and is bad for business, especially since Joe Biden has a long record of supporting banks, of supporting credit card companies, of watering down personal bankruptcy so that companies who we owe money to will still get paid. And so this guy Sagar, he's actually a Republican. He's from this show called The Rising, where they have a Democrat, a young lady named Crystal Ball, and then this young man, Sagar and Jetty. He's the Republican on the show. And he's telling us that the Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which has been for years put up to $1 billion to get Republicans elected, is now switching over and wants the Democrats to control the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency, because those businesses feel like they're going to make more money from a Joe Biden presidency than they are under Donald Trump presidency. They feel that Joe Biden is better for their interest in this American empire. I mean, what do you think about that, Bill?
Yeah, no, I had muted myself.
Oh, okay.
Well, I gotta tell you, I gotta acquiesce to you basically on that. You're more in tune with those type of things than I am. But I'm just saying that I mean, I have a different spin on it. I told people that everything's a time and a place. And Trump's presidency was necessary to unearth the stagnation that we had felt as a people for so long. But his time, I was just making sure his time is done. I mean, there's no really other use for him. With the pandemic where everybody's sitting still and they get, they had whatever media source that was coming to their house, TV, cable, things of that nature, and they get hand spoon this hatred, and also can't go outside because everybody's worrying about their health, and the numbers kept going up. So everything is a time and a place, and I think that he was the perfect person that God put in place to wake up the sleeping giant, which is the Black community.
Right.
And I also think not only the Black community, I don't want to sell white Americans short because it would be a disservice to them, because they know that the sins of their fathers. And when you took a snapshot, many times they lapped us. It was so many white people in it, you would think it was a white cause, and it's a human cause. They just brought everything together. So, I mean, if Joe Biden is going to do the bidding for the big banks and the money, I always said this with the charter school: follow the money. You follow the money, and you'll know which way things are going to go. Because it's always about the money. It's not about nothing more, nothing less. It's about two things: it's about the power of the people and money. And I would say in that order, because I don't care where you promise the money. If all of a sudden something becomes a hotbed topic and it's unpopular to go against it, and you have to put money to where the people is making the most noise, that's where they're going to give it to. So it's about money and it's about people power. And that's why, again, it's important to unite. And today is a good day to highlight that, and Black Solidarity Day. But in terms of the nuances, Mark, you're the man with that.
And on that note, I want to share one more thing. You know, everybody was talking about the conservatives being on the Supreme Court and the liberals and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all this and that. You know, and sometimes what a lot of good folks fail to realize is that, you know, we live in a capitalist society where the government represents the interest of the capitalists, of the billionaires. And so they control the House of Representatives, they control the Senate, they control the presidency through massive amounts of money. And even the Supreme Court right now is making decisions on cases that have to do with the ballot counting, right? And I'm just wondering, you know, have people been paying attention? Like on the screen, what I'm sharing with people, it says, Harris County's drive-through votes will count, but judge advises against it on election day. So there was a ruling in a case in Harris County, Texas, that the Republicans in Texas wanted to throw out 127,000 ballots. And the judge came in, and this is despite all these conservative judges that Trump has put in, right? Despite all of that, the Democrats are winning just about every case where it matters. In Harris County, they're going to have to count those votes, those same 127,000 votes that the Republicans wanted to throw out, you know? So that's another sign. One, the Democrats are getting way more billions of dollars from the rich and the corporations than the Republicans. That's the first sign we got to look at. It's like you said, we got to follow the money. Two, there's this case in Texas where the Republicans wanted to throw out 127,000 votes, and the Democrats took it to court, and the court sided with the Democrats, right? Now, the next thing I wanted to show was the Supreme Court. This is supposed to be a court that is dominated by Republicans, conservatives. And you know what? The Supreme Court recently ruled that Pennsylvania and North Carolina, two of the swing states, right? Two of the states where these votes count the most, that they have time to count the votes. See? And so you got the big corporations supporting Biden and the Democrats. You got the Supreme Court, right? Which is supposed to be like this conservative, neo-fascist, Christian right. Trump put 3 judges on it. And those judges are ruling or making decisions that will allow the counting of the votes in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. Now, I just want to share one more thing to put the icing on the cake. And this is going to put the icing on the cake, right? A lot of people are talking about the Proud Boys and all these militias that Trump is, you know, like the people on the highway in Texas who slowed down or hijacked the Biden bus. And this is where you can see what's going to be happening. A top general declines to endorse Trump's Afghan withdrawal timeline. In the military, the top generals are supporting Biden, okay? So if Trump wants to make a lot of noise, if he wants to bring out these militia people with their semi-automatic weapons, they're going to have to deal with the U.S. military and their automatic weapons and their tanks and their fighter jets. So this is why I'm saying that the decision has already been made, right? And that the election, our votes, what they're doing is formalizing the decisions made by big business, by the lobbyists, by the military people, by the CIA, by the FBI, all these institutions have decided that Trump has to go. And they're not going to put up with Trump and his shenanigans anymore. So that's what I wanted to point out to people, you know, and if you read, you follow the money and you look at what's going on, you'll be able to tell that Trump is going to lose the election. The Democrats, it's going to be like when Obama first got elected, right? Where the Democrats control the House of Representatives, they control the Senate, they control the presidency. And this is a prediction, right? So after all the ballots are counted, folks can either tell me, hey, you know, you were right, or hey, you were wrong. And that's the good thing about predictions, is that you can always come back to it and see if the predictions are right or the predictions are wrong. Now, if I'm wrong, then I got to go back and, you know, correct myself and check myself. But I don't think so, man. If we do what you say, Bill, which is follow the money, and we look at which way the military's going, even the Supreme Court, that's supposed to be Republican controlled, is handing down decisions that favor the Democrats. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think really it comes down to, you know, decency. I mean, human decency. Everybody before they became left, right, center, or what have you, their parents, your first teachers, your parents, pretty much taught decency the same way, no matter what household, what ethnicity you came in, and a lot of times, wherever you was raised to believe, if you was raised in a certain religion, and you go into another religion, you're still going to tend to have some of the residuals of that religion building on your core, because this is what you came up believing. So people tend to be raised decent, and I think the decency is the same that I view when I look at the snapshot of the participants in this global uprising. You see a lot of people from other ethnicity, because it calls on their decency, and we've been water dropping and hitting them over the head systematically, methodically for years, and it's in lockstep with the core of the decency that they was raised with. So even with the money, which is a very good litmus test, even with the money, people tend to have compassion. People tend to want to do right versus wrong. Even in Spike Lee's movie, Do the Right Thing, and Radio Raheem, he had on 2 rings, 4-finger rings. One was love and one was hate. And how hate was beating up on love, but he showed how love made a comeback and ultimately won the fight, won the battle. And I think that him and decency, you know, the litmus test is 4 years. People see how he's invoked hatred. People have seen how he has. We've been taught to believe in science. Has he snubbed his nose to science? And what would be the kicker? Right before the damn near the eve of the election, he would contact the virus. The same thing that he like Marco said, the roosters come home to
Chickens
chickens come home to roost. They did the same thing that he did with Hillary 4 years ago. He waited to the eve of the election to release more emails, and it's come to bite him in terms of the virus, that he snubbed his nose to it, and he acted like he was Teflon Don, and it bit him, it bit his wife, it bit his son, and it bit fat ass Chris Christie. You know, so I mean, it's just poetic justice. So I think that what you're saying is true, but the human element can never be underestimated.
All right, so I'm going to share something that Jose Alfaro put in the chat, and I can put up y'all messages. I can share them. I've learned that much on how to do this thing. And it says, I think the level of stability is key, but it's also true that the level of racism, misogyny, xenophobia, etc., are all okay with the ruling class. The rich people don't have no problem with racism. I mean, they've been profiting from racism for hundreds of years, right? But they're losing control of the outward racism and the chaos brought about by 45 with Trump. So Jose is saying that the business class took a chance on him, And if it wasn't for the pandemic, I wonder if they would have gone with him again. So, you know, not to deny your point about decency, but in terms of the capitalists who run the society, we live in a capitalist society, is named after them. Would, if the pandemic wouldn't have hit, would they have flipped for Biden, or would they have stayed with Trump? I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I think the questions Jose is raising are valid questions.
Hey, Mark, let me chime in on that. I think that's an excellent question, because I have to say the same thing, because I do believe that hadn't been for the pandemic, he probably would win going away. But then again, it's divine intervention. You know, you get what you give, and God interceded. All right. I mean, where the universe had to clean itself up with this pandemic, it cleaned itself up. All right. Just thing is just the order of the day. You know, things are supposed to be the way they're supposed to be. You know, like some people say, it's your time. When you leave, it's your time to it was your time. And some people want to argue that. But at the end of the day, you say, okay, if you want to argue that, then why ain't they here? Because it was their time. So whereas I echo with the sentiment, if it wasn't for the pandemic, but the pandemic is here. And why is it here? Because sometimes, you know, they say you want to make God laugh, tell them your plans.
All right. So what I'm going to do now is before we move on to show other chats, I have one last a video that I want to share. I'm going to put it in the stream, and it's a video of our current president, and you know, with his
over the weekend that President Trump plans to take.
We don't want to where you have the head of over
directly, and first he's like, no. But then he goes on to say we're going to bring in the lawyers, and I think this and that is very unfair, and name check several states that are run by Democrats. Like, let's take a listen to what he says.
The night of, as soon as that election's over, we're going in with our lawyers. But we don't want to have Pennsylvania, where you have a political governor, a very partisan guy, and we don't want to have other states like Nevada, where you have the head of the Democratic clubhouse as your governor. We don't want to be in a position where he's allowed to every day watch ballots come in. Gee, if we could only find 10,000 more ballots, because we're doing great in Nevada, we're doing great in Arizona, we're doing great all over. But if you take Nevada or Pennsylvania, and everyone knows what happens in Philadelphia, you don't have to say it, but I've read about it for years. And I don't think it's fair that we have to wait a long period of time after the election. If people wanted to get their ballots in, they should have gotten their ballots in long before that, a long time.
Well, so just to lay out the facts, I mean, obviously in every election, there are ballots that are counted after Election Day, frequently from military service members who are overseas. So there's nothing unusual about that. Of course, what is unusual is the just mass volume of mail-in ballots due to the pandemic. And as we all know, those are disproportionately Democratic because Republicans have encouraged their people to vote on the day of. I will note it's not a great sign of confidence when you have the president, and also we're going to play one of his advisors, basically coming up with ways to keep from counting all the ballots. Not a great sign of confidence.
Right. So Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is crying that the election is unfair to him. Right? You just saw the video. He has internal posters in the White House that tell him exactly what's going on with the election. They're running the polls, they're running numbers, and so here's Trump on video crying that the election is unfair to him. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. And so Carmen Quinones in the chat wrote, "Sick man, he really needs help. Sad what he's done to this country." Right? And then she also shared, it's not after the election, it's not over till all ballots have been counted. Right. And what Trump wants to do is he wants to do on a national level what the Democrats do in New York State, which is suppress the votes. In New York State, in order to be on the ballot, you needed to get 50,000 votes statewide. Cuomo and the Democrats have now increased that to 150,000. So the Working Families Party is in danger. The Green Party is in danger. All these other parties that actually gave us more choices in New York State, because in New York State on the ballot, when you go to vote, there are 5 parties you can vote for. You can vote for Democrats. You can vote for Republican. You can vote for Green Party. You can vote for the Independence Party. You can vote for the Libertarian Party. And the Conservative Party is going with Trump. And the Working Families Party is going with Biden. But normally you would have 7 parties that you could vote for. And now the Democrats in New York State are suppressing the vote by increasing the number of votes that each party needs to get to be on the ballot. And that's the same thing that Trump wants to do on a national level. He wants to stop the country. He wants to suppress the votes, all in an effort to take power. But the big corporations and the banks are against him. The Supreme Court is against him. The U.S. military is against him. So after all is said and done, Trump is not going to have any choice but to go back to Mar-a-Lago in Florida and keep making noise from his private residence. Bill, what do you think?
I mean, I tend to agree with you. I mean, he really didn't put in the work. He never changed. He never conformed, and he pretty much he deserves what he got. But it also is a statement for the state of America as well, because what he allowed people to do is to vote for openly racist leader. You know, people was covert with their racism and their hatreds and their disdain for people of color, African Americans, what have you. But in this case, they got somebody they can rally behind. They can go behind a curtain and they can pull a lever to support, I guess, a devil worship, a Hitler, somebody that probably idolized Hitler and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, I mean, you know, did he really think that he was going to want to be president, or was just something he threw his hat in the ring because he had nothing to do and he had so much money, and as it started thinning out, the possibility became real that he become president. So it was never a deterrent. Nobody ever held his feet to the fire. Could you imagine if Barack or any other president would behave the way he behaved, talking about how he grabbed women? That would be enough to cancel his card, and they have to do an acceptance bow out, you know. So he really got, it's like the Muslim says, you know, I mean, they call him the devil because they're deceivers. And it's just a good glimpse of the Americas that we look at, you know. How could he? I mean, even though he didn't get the popular vote, it still was enough people in the right places to put him over the top to be American. And I'm just going to stay with the Black solidarity thing. That's why we have to come together as a people. And when we say Black solidarity, we don't just mean blacks. We mean all people of color, because we have to take time to see how do we strengthen ourselves. It was a time when we own, like a lot of us go to WLIB. And one time BLS, we had black radio. We don't own no black radios. So we had to go back into thinking about how do we best lift ourselves up as a people, as a nation, and have people accountable. How do we parlay our money? Because we know that everything is stacked against us no matter what. And I have to tell this anecdote. The other day when I was giving out the palm cards for today's rally, I had a sister, conscious sister, talk about how she resent that, we talk about helping us. And she looks at the Jewish community and she said, why do you think the Jewish community gets so much help? Why do you think certain things don't help in the good Jewish community? But I told her what I tell everybody, just real quick. I said, if you have a child, and the child from the inception of the child's birth to the child turn 10, you tell that child, you ain't shit, you ain't never going to be shit, you're not going to ever amount to nothing. How many years would it take you to undo that? And then you think about Rosewood and Black Wall Street in North Carolina, all these wealthy community that was black, affluent community that would pass that money on to their kids, who would pass it on to their grandkids, that would move in other states, other parts of the country, and they would continue to duplicate this. These are things that is done deliberately to suppress them. And people don't want to discuss those things. And you have to make them discuss it. And you have to make them realize it. Even though we may not use it as a crutch, but it's part and parcel to the problem. Same with welfare. All these things that maybe we were already eligible for, that they didn't create for us to save our white oppressors from committing suicide and things like that. These are all things that's connected. So when you get into when you engage people with conversation, you anticipate their rhetoric. It's the same rhetoric, and you have to be prepared to hit them with things that they ain't anticipating coming from you. So maybe that's a long answer, but everything comes down to what do we do for ourselves moving forward? And why do we need to do this? And why is it important to bring up the past? Because the past is still the present. But through our changes, through our struggles, we have changed things where things will never be the same. But still in all, they changed the game too. They changed the game too. They asked us to be role models. So you got Calvin Kaepernick in 2016 decide that he's going to be a role model. But then they said, oh, wait, not like that. Now they want to tell you how to be role model. So what did they do last year? They made a rule that if you kneel taking the flag, that you automatically have to get fined. It's not a choice, it's mandated. So you need to know these things because they continue to change the finish line with us, and they always are changing the terms of endearment when it comes to us. So we need to put them on their heels and be prepared for what they say, because they're not going to be prepared for our rebuttal. So that's what Bill got to say about that.
All right, brother. Thank you. And Carmen sends hello, so right on the chat. So and then she had
Carmen.
Preach, unity is the only way. Yes, William, preach, unity is the only way. So she's definitely driving with what she's saying. So also, before we get into what we would like people to do, I just want to show one more slide.
Hey guys, welcome back to today's video.
And this is
the South we are seeing in but I will release my final section in 2 days, and we will see
YouTube
by the end of that.
And it's basically just a map of it's No, you here, you still here, Bill. No, the thing is that what I do is I put you in the stream so I can show the map big. Yeah. Don't hang up. You still here, man. Yeah, I just need like I just need a bigger part of the screen so I can show them. You can see the map though, right? Okay. So basically, let me describe it. It's a map with different colors. Solid blue, dark blue are states that Biden is going to take, like New York State, right? New York State has a Democratic governor, a Democratic Senate, a Democratic Assembly. Everybody knows, and a Democratic mayor in New York City. Everybody knows, everybody, even Trump knows that New York's 29 electoral votes are going to go to Biden. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, right? Just like California is 55 electoral votes. Everybody knows those are going to Biden. It's not even in doubt. Now, on the flip side, everybody knows that Idaho's 4 electoral votes Wyoming's 3, Oklahoma's 7. Those are solid red states on the map. They're going to Trump. Everybody knows that, right? And we've done this in the show before. We talked about how the people of the United States do not vote directly for president. We vote for electors, and the electors in the Electoral College are the ones who actually pick the president and vice president. Now, according to the Constitution, the electors don't have to vote the way the people vote, right? They're not obligated to that. And that's a way for the elites, the capitalists, the billionaires, to make sure that no candidate is elected who is going to mess with their money or mess with their interest, right? And so right now it's projected that Biden is going to win, and everything on the map that's blue or light blue is the areas that Biden is going to win. Now, last time around, Trump won Michigan, Wisconsin, and I believe Minnesota. He beat Hillary Clinton. And what it is, Bill, you know, I live in Pennsylvania. He won Pennsylvania. And what happened was that people, white people, working class white people who have voted for Obama twice, decided to flip and vote for Trump because despite Trump's chaos and overt, explicit, over-the-board racism and sexism, he told all those people that the jobs that Obama and that Clinton and that George W. Bush has sent to Mexico, has sent to China, jobs where with a high school diploma, you had a union, you have benefits, you could buy a house, you could have yearly vacation with your whole family on the Disney cruise or whatever else you wanted to do. All those union jobs got sent to Mexico and China when Clinton signed NAFTA, and then Obama wanted to sign the TPP with Trans-Pacific, free trade. So a lot of these people in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota expected Trump to return all those good factory jobs where they could live a good life, where they didn't, where they wasn't addicted to opioids and drugs and you know, had to commit suicide and all these things. And you know what? Trump did not deliver for them. Despite all his rhetoric and all his little hat wearing and all his nonsense, he did not bring back those jobs for these people. And so now they're voting again for the Democrats. But I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now. Joe Biden ain't bringing back those jobs either. And those people who voted for Obama twice, but then flipped and voted for Trump, they're not going to get nothing out of Joe Biden. They're not going to get nothing out of Joe Biden. And that's why the People-Pueblo Party and other people around this country are saying we need a new political party. We need a party that's going to respond to the needs of the people, to all the people. It needs to be anti-racist, anti-sexist, and it needs to be for poor and working people in this country. Because Joe Biden and the Democrats are going to control the whole government, and they ain't going to bring, I mean, when they come in, the first thing they're going to try to do probably is give a stimulus check. But then after that, you know, it ain't going to be about us. It's going to be about those billionaires that have given the Democratic Party $7.9 billion. That's what it's going to be about. And so, I wanted to say that Trump's message attracts the racist, the neo-fascists, but it also attracted a lot of other people who normally consider themselves not to be racist. People who try to do the right thing and got caught up in, this, either I vote for Democrats or I vote for Republicans. And we're going to go through it again. Joe Biden is going to do what Joe Biden has always done, talks nice, and then let the corporations and the military just run rampant and do whatever they want.
He's gonna apologize for something too. He talks nice and he's forever saying I'm sorry about something. Yeah. Don't forget that, whether it be plagiarism or putting his foot in his mouth some kind of way.
Right.
But a lot of people crossed over and voted for Trump too because of what they perceived as his business background, because he had made his bones off of real estate. And so they figured that, hey, if he can become a billionaire based on that, never forgetting the fact that they say that the hardest part of being a wealthy, a millionaire is the first million, which was given to him by his father. And a lot of people, felt like, hey, what we have to lose? I mean, he has a background, and like you said, he fell short on that. So those people are going to come back to the pack.
Yep. And I mean, so that's a very important point, because Trump also complains that he told his dad he needed money, and his dad only gave him $1 million.
Yeah.
So anyway, what to do? I mean, one of the things that Esperanza Martel, who's been working with us, always asks is, okay, good, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for the good information. Now, what are we supposed to do? And I'm sharing a screen here, and the People-Pueblo Party is trying to do two things. One is trying to unite, support, and coordinate activities of different groups, right? Through something called the People's United Front. We have at least 10 or 12 groups in that are trying to come together, trying to pull different groups together. And also we're trying to organize in the community here in New York City, and also in Pennsylvania. We're doing street outreach. And this is one of the events that is going on Wednesday, the day after the election, is a post-election protest for People's Mandate. Is date November 4th. And the demands are: stop police crimes, community control of the police, economic relief for the unemployed, stop evictions and utility shutoffs, health care for all, stop the racist attacks on immigrants, stop the harassment of Asian Americans. And so that's what we got to do. We got to work on two levels. One, which is bringing all these good people together. Carmen Quinones is on here tonight, and she's been fighting the fight in NYCHA, making sure that people live a decent life. And so that's part of what we got to do. We got to be in the community, day-to-day organizing, listening to the people, like we were doing on 125th Street, Bill, right there in front of the state office building. I was doing with my son Camilo out in Lancaster, doing community surveys, trying to find out what the people think of problems, and then helping people organize it. There's a possibility that we might be able to open up an office in Reading, Pennsylvania. That's the two-prong approach, or the two-method approach. One is try to bring all the groups together that are like-minded, and it ain't about bringing people together who don't think like you, don't want to be like you, don't want to deal with what you want to deal with. We ain't got no time for arguments. It's about who want to help the people, who want to handle the people's business, and then we do it. And then, the other piece of it is that we have to be out there in the streets. We got to be organizing the people. We got to be bringing solutions to the people. There's a church here in East Harlem, Methodist Church, with Reverend LeBron, and they feed over 350 people, on Saturdays. Those are the kind of programs we have to help in the community. And so we have very specific and careful things, including political education, the way we do on this show every week. So there's a lot for us to do. And so we just got to get to it. And, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to protect ourselves from COVID, wear our masks, wear gloves, protect ourselves from the cold, wear our layers so our immune systems don't weaken. But this is the challenge for us. It got to be about educate, agitate, and organize. I mean, Bill, I'm gonna share what Carmen wrote now, and she's saying that's what's real. And I'm gonna let you have the last word on this, and then we're gonna go to a couple of announcements, and then we'll be done for tonight.
Okay. You swinging it to me, or you was going to read what Carmen wrote?
No, I already put it up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, remember, don't forget, I'm getting tech savvy here.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I can't see it, but anyway, it's about unity. It's about unity. It's about reconnecting, putting our petty differences aside. To leave this program and just in your own headspace think about What can you do to make a difference? You know, the whole is equal to the sum of its part. We're all important. We all have different ideas, and it's about implementation of our ideas. You know, we get busy, but this is a time for pause, for a cause, and the cause is ours. You know, you think about the gains of society, America. If you extrapolate what we've done, what we contribute to our intellects and what have you, they will still be in a still dark age. So it's important that we talk about blackness. We talk about pulling our resources together. Um, because we can do these things. I mean, whether it's $100 a week and just be committed to paying ourselves first, not paying everybody and then see what we got left. If we commit 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, whatever it is, to put $100 a week, 4 times, 400 times, whatever amount of people you have, and the goal to parlay that and start building community. Because we had a blueprint, we had a story, but this time when we do it, we got to realize that the devil that lies within, and we can't let them burn our places down, our establishments down. So it's a time for us to pause, reconnect, put being black first on the agenda, first and foremost, because if we don't, who will? We all we got. We got to be our own liberators. We can't expect somebody else to do what's best for us. I have daughters. I have one son. I have 3 daughters. And I always tell my daughters, you can't expect somebody, excuse me, 4 daughters. God forbid they hear that. You can't expect, right? You can't, who did I forget, right? You can't expect somebody to have more respect for you, for yourself than you're going to have for yourself. And I say that because you can't expect a man to respect you more than you're going to have, than you respect yourself, or have him respect you. So I segue that to say, as people, we have to put ourselves first on the agenda. We got to start thinking maybe outside the box, as being owners, entrepreneurs, and just move forward and instill that into your kids and let them know how beautiful they are. Let them know that the people that make fun and plant ideas in their head, they talk about how full their lips are, how full their nose is, their hips, their buttocks. They go and pay for these things that we were blessed with naturally. We don't do this. They go to look at the orange president. He goes and pay for these 10. We have this melanin. So the highest form of aberration is imitation. And they have imitated us and emulated us and want to be around us from the beginning of the time. From the beginning of the time. And a lot of us are union workers. And I'm a union worker. Mark's a teacher. He's UFT. He's a union worker. But you got to also understand that unions, the origin of unions was even racist because we did all the work. We did all the teaching. We had all the skilled labor, and that was to keep us out. So if we're going to if we're going to do anything that's going to benefit us, we have to have our own agenda, and we have to put ourselves first and foremost. That's how it's got to be. We got to start thinking a little bit more aggressive, a little more forward thinking, and we got to instill this into our kids. Be proud of who you are. All right, and that's all I have to say. Just take that with you. I'll shade it.
All right, I'll share, brother. I'll share. So I just in closing, Alvaro is sharing something in the chat. It says, my father, Jaime, says hello. And you know what's interesting, Bill,
yes,
is that his father's in Ecuador.
Okay.
So
wow, that's deep. Wow. Big up to your father, man. Big up.
That's it. That's it right there.
For real. See, and that's what it starts. When you do something that's worthy, it travels. It travels. Believe that. And also, Black Solidarity program is still on. They said it was from 7 to 9, but it's still on. So those that want to tap into that, with the palm card that Mark sent everybody, you still could do that.
All right. So we're gonna wrap up. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody for being in the audience. And we're gonna continue to do the work, connecting with other organizations that want to help the people, want to work for the people, and then also hitting the streets and connecting directly with the people. So just to wrap up, I want to say all power to the people.
More power to the people. All power to the people. Set